I'm going to share the 5 skills you need to know if you want to go and buy a business. And these are skills that I've spent 10 plus years honing on my career on Wall Street at Blackstone and KKR. Yeah, the best private equity firms in the entire world. And the cool thing is, I get to take everything that I learned there and give it away to you. And in this video, not only are we going to touch on how to master those skills, but we are also going to dive into the tactical resources that are free, and I think like 2 of them cost money, of how to actually go and build these skills that you can then apply literally right after this video. And by the way, those 2 resources that cost are just books on Amazon that I couldn't find a free or illegal alternative. But the key is, once you can master all these different skills, you can apply them to go buy a business literally today. Because guess what? Can anyone go out and buy a business? Yeah, if you have the cash, go do it. But the key is anyone can also lose millions of dollars by doing it the wrong way. So let's help you invest like how the pros invest and lock you into this boot camp where we are going to understand the first essential skill that it takes to go buy a business. All right, let's rock. Skill number 1, financial analysis. Financial analysis is knowing the numbers. This is important because when you are going to go buy a business, you are working with an owner, and that owner is going to give you access to documents, PDFs, Excel files that have a comprehensive financial picture on paper of how that business is performing. And the number one thing is you want to be able to know how to read those numbers. Now understand, it's simple math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, but you want to know what elements you have to use in those formulas to understand what the true profitability and cash flow picture is of a particular business. Now the key to leveling up, you have to understand that financial due diligence is the most important piece of diligence in the entire deal process. Because if the numbers are wrong, or if you don't know what you're reading, or if you don't have a clear picture of a business's true cash flow, you're kind of chalked, and it could bite you in the butt for years down the road if you bought a bad business that's not doing well numerically. This is why you see folks that work on Wall Street spending hundreds of hours every single week cranking the numbers. So it is very important that you have just a fundamental knowledge of financial analysis, simple mathematics, and understanding how to read financial statements. And those financial statements, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Now, how to upgrade this skill set. Luckily for you, financial analysis has been around for like 50 to 100 years, right? It's nothing new. And it's the same thing over and over because it's simply math and math, right? The cool thing is if you search on Google or go on YouTube or even go to your public library and just look up things around financial statement analysis or how to calculate free cash flow for a business, there are thousands of resources that exist. So this one costs absolutely $0. It is completely free. It just requires you to spend the time to study financial statement analysis. Start practicing, building yourself practice models so that when a live deal comes across and you are sent a file with a bunch of Excel numbers of revenue costs, you know how to calculate the true profitability, the true cost, the true growth profile of that particular business. And in this video, we're going to spice it up a bit and introduce a special character that we are going to try to level up across all these 5 different skills so that this person is ready to go buy a business at the end of this video. And that special character is AJ. And some of you might already know this guy, but he's one of our YouTube subscribers that has the most insane journey. He got out of credit card debt, he built himself a thriving index fund portfolio, as well as just bought himself a freaking house. And now he is ready to buy himself a cash flowing business. And by the way, he has no finance education background. He did not work on Wall Street. He is simply likely watching this video right now and planning to understand and master these 5 skills. So for AJ, if we look at his skill level today in financial analysis, he's currently a 0 because he's never done financial statement analysis ever in his entire life. How are we going to get him to be someone that is deal ready to do this for real companies? And I think the best way to do it for someone that is a beginner is to leverage AI. aka ChatGPT. Once you receive information from a business, or if you have a listing on BizBuySell, you can copy and paste those financials or that listing and you can put it into ChatGPT. The prompt that I want you to do after you've pasted the information is I want you to ask ChatGPT to act as if you are a financial due diligence provider specializing in financial statement analysis. And I want you to produce a report on this analysis showcasing the key financial stats of this business, as well as helping me understand what the true free cash flow is of this business. Because the headline stat we are trying to solve for, among other things, but the most important one is what is this business's true cash flow profile. Plain and simple, because cash is king. How much cash is this business bringing in every single year? So with that, we can have AJ starting at 0%, leveling up all the way to 80% of competency in financial statement analysis. Now, that incremental 20% just requires AJ to read a bit more, as well as have more practice and reps to get comfortable at looking at different numbers. So if you pair ChatGPT plus understanding and having reps by looking at different financial statements, I think you can get there in financial statement analysis competency. Well, let's move on to the next skill. Number 2, connecting with people. You are working with business owners who will not sell their company to someone that they do not like. Plain and simple. And when I was at KKR, my mentor, George Roberts, he said something that was very profound that changed my life. He told me that people do business with people that they like and trust. Emphasis on like and trust. And that is very much a personality and a soft skill that allows you to connect with people. And the level up game plan is that you want to be able to learn and know how to be an effective communicator. You also want to be able to have empathy and empathize with the people and have emotion. And then also you just want to be a very interesting person. You just don't want to be a finance nerd going around trying to buy businesses. You want to be interesting, have hobbies, play sports, be on top of like what's happening in college football, anything that just makes you interesting. Like think about the airport test. Would you want to sit with someone that is just like a numbers crunching ninja all day, every day when you're at an airport stuck on a deal? No, you want to be with someone that is interesting, that has interests outside of work, and is a cool personality to be around. And then also, here's really important. You want to have sound integrity. And Warren Buffett had this test. And he said that you want to follow the newspaper test to where if the action that you are about to perform was going to be on the front page of the newspaper that's read by your grandma, would she be proud? And that is a great test of integrity. Would you do the right thing if your actions were blasted to the entire world, especially people that you care about? So how to level up your communication skills? I think we live in one of the most incredible times and opportunities to level up this communication skill, and that is simply making content. Like, look, I'm on Instagram and I post reels every single day on how to invest and how to buy businesses. Literally every single day. Do I do it because I like to hear myself talk? No, not at all. I do it because I am challenging myself to develop a communication skill set to articulate very complex and very hard pieces of information, like buying a business, like financial statement analysis, like cash flow stuff. I'm trying to make it in a way that is understandable and incredible storytelling to the masses. That is a really hard skill to do, but me doing it every single day, that skill set compounds. And by the way, if you aren't following us on Instagram, I don't know what you're doing, dog. I'm kind of biased, but I think we might have the best finance Instagram page of the entire world, like crazy, free, smart money moves every single day. So hit that follow button. And then on the networking piece and just building genuine, lasting relationships with people, especially in the business world, one of the most important books that I read when I was in college is a book by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is an understatement for me to say that this book changed my life. It literally walks through how to connect with people, how to build relationships, how to be intentional, how to negotiate, like everything. And this book on Amazon is like $14, but if you want, you can go to a public library and get it completely for free or try to find a cheaper audiobook. But this book will drastically transform your personality as well as your ability to connect and build real relationships with people. But let's go back to AJ. AJ currently has incredible people skills. But the key is he has great people skills with people that he already knows are close friends and family. So I will put him at like a 40% competency in the connecting with people skill set. What's missing is his tactical approach towards building new relationships with people in the business community. And that's something that you just have to have like a soft skill strategy for. And I think if he just practices communication with random people by making content and reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, I think we can get him to around like 80 to 90%. Now that remaining gap, you just either got it or you don't. All right, plain and simple. But I think we can take him from 40% all the way to around like 85, 9% and level him up in that soft skill arena. And just as important as connecting with people is, it is also equally important, maybe even more, to be able to effectively negotiate. Why negotiation? Because at the end of the day, buying a business is simply agreeing to terms and a price. Because if you don't have the right price or the right terms, the owner will walk away and sell to someone else or just not sell at all, okay? And if you're being a dickhead when it comes to negotiations and you don't have empathy and the soft skills of connecting with folks, they will also walk away. And that's why all these things are kind of interconnected to be like a holistic skill set to be an effective business buyer. Now, what does it mean to learn how to level up when it comes to negotiating? And I think you want to solve for like one essential thing that's kind of universally known in the world of advanced negotiations, and that's called ZOPA, Zone of Potential Agreement, meaning it is an area or its terms or it's a price that is just mutually agreeable by both parties, the seller and you, the buyer. Meaning both people leave the negotiation very happy and pleased with the outcome. And then the very tactical approach of how to upgrade your negotiation skills. And I like to follow Warren Buffett's strategy of negotiation. And here's the first one. Have simple, straightforward terms. Warren Buffett is notorious by having negotiated billion-dollar acquisitions and investments by having one simple term sheet that outlines the price, the terms, etc. And he always says that if you have to go through 100 pages of legal documents to arrive at a conclusion of what to buy a business for, odds are they're trying to hide something. When there's a bunch of mess and complexity and crazy legal terms, odds are they're trying to have some type of leg up in the negotiation. And that does not help to have a healthy ZOPA, Zone of Potential Agreement. Now, the second piece, prioritize the people over the terms. It's so important to take a step back and understand like this is another human being. And it's kind of like a marriage. And Charlie Munger had an amazing quote, and he was Warren Buffett's number 2. His quote said something, I don't know the exact words. It was something like, are happily married couples happy because they diligence the birth certificates of the partner they were looking to marry? No. Instead, they understood the people, the emotions, the connection, the alignment, things like that. So treat that same approach when it comes to diligencing and understanding and negotiating with a business owner. I'm pretty sure I totally butchered that quote, but you get the message. All right. How much does it cost to build your skill set in negotiations? I think this one is also free. You can look at Warren Buffett's strategy online. There's a bunch of posts and articles around Warren Buffett's approach towards negotiation. You can also watch YouTube videos and TED Talks from famous negotiators outlining their tactical strategies. But then also you can just get practice and reps by just debating and having negotiations with folks. I think it's very simple and free to build up this skill set. Now for AJ, what is the skill set and competency in negotiation? Well, he just bought a house, so he already understands sort of like the transaction style negotiations of understanding terms and a price. So I will put him at like 30% competency when it comes to business acquisition negotiation. So if we add on a few TED Talks and encourage him to truly master and study Warren Buffett's skill set when it comes to negotiations, so let's put him around like 70% competency. And like I said, AJ is already great at connecting with people, especially after that skill set development. Then once him and the business owners are connected, it's just about making sure that he's doing the right thing by the right people and having good ethics when it comes to this negotiation. It's not rocket science. It is just simply emotional tactics to ensure that you're arriving at a zone of potential agreement. If you are enjoying this video and feel like you learned something, please do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing but a good heart, but it means the world to me as well as the team as we try to get smart money moves out to you every single week. And if this is your first time here and your first time sub, welcome to the fam, baby. Let's rock. Moving on to the fourth essential skill that you need to have if you want to go buy a business, and that is business acumen. Business acumen is essentially knowing how to run and operate a business, because you need to understand the products, the service, the inventory, the operations of a business. It's not just a toy you can buy and forget about. It is a living organism that operates every single day. Like, there are real customers, real employees, real products and services, real inventory, and you just need to understand how to run and operate that organization properly. And then when it comes to leveling up in this business acumen skill set, I think there are 3 key areas. Number 1 is understanding operations. You need to understand the inputs, the process, and the outputs. What comes in, what happens, and what is the output for that product or service of that particular business. Because you want to make sure that everything in the business runs smoothly, as well as you are aware of how to solve problems. Because 99% of a business owner's job and an investor's job is just solving problems and putting out fires. So you need to understand operations. Then the second piece is on competitive moat, meaning you need to understand how to have a competitive differentiation against your other competitors to understand why customers want to shop or work with you. Because if you're trying to buy a business and you don't have the skill set of how to identify or build a competitive moat, odds are that business does not have a successful future in the long term. So try to build this skill set of understanding and building competitive moats. And then the last piece is go to market. And this is essentially bringing in revenue, aka sales. This is such an important sub-skill within this overall business acumen skill set because a business does not thrive if it does not have the capabilities to bring in sales. So when it comes to go to market, the very simple task is learn how to bring in customers and keep customers. Plain and simple. Now, when it comes to the upgrading game plan for business acumen skill set, I think there's two ways to do this. The first one is kind of a cheat code. So this is what you do. Say you found a business that you're looking to acquire. You pick that industry that business is operating in. And what I want you to do is try to find a scaled competitor in that space. Let's say, for example, I'm looking to go buy a shoe manufacturer that makes cool athletic shoes. I will take that industry and find the largest publicly traded competitor, aka Nike, and I will read all the available pieces of information on their strategy, on their financials, on their operations to improve my industry-specific business acumen. And there are so many resources, but if you want the key docs to read, there's the S1, which every public company has to file when they go public. And that's kind of like a Bible on the business. So read that, you're going to learn a lot. The second one is going to be their 10K, which outlines their annual financial performance, KPIs, updates every single year, as well as their annual reports, which just gives presentations on the business performance, the industry, management commentary. That is like a Wall Street cheat code to get up to speed and have strong business acumen on various new sectors all the time. I do it literally every single day. Buffett reads 10Ks every single day. And I think if you want to be a sound business acumen savvy investor, do the same thing. Now, the second cheat code, people laugh all the time when I say this, but it's actually playing video games related to business. And there are a lot of games out there that kind of simulate being a business owner and running operations. And it kind of teaches you like core fundamental skill sets when it comes to business acumen. Now, my favorite game that I love to watch when I'm looking at Twitch, my favorite streamers are Valkyrie and Queso. Hopefully I'm saying their names correctly, but they're currently playing a game called Water Park Simulator. And maybe it's because I'm a business finance guy, but it just reminds me of running a full business. Like when they're streaming, they have to build the park, have inventory, hire people, gain customers, fix operations, solve partners, upsell customers, like unit economics, all kinds of things to build like a water park empire. And I guarantee you that if you play a game like that or something similar every single day, all day, just to get practice, you're going to understand the lingo and the fundamentals of just running and operating a business, especially if you have zero skill set today. Now, playing a game might not be useful for someone that already knows business, but I think it's just a cool fundamental way to just have fun and learn key business acumen features. Now, how much does it cost to level up your skill set in business acumen? $3.99, all right? All it requires is just your time to research and understand industry and niche operational KPIs, methods, business processes for a particular industry so that you're smart in the space. But then also, if you want to play some of those games, I don't think they're expensive. And if you don't want to pay for the games, just buy the demos that are free and just get that practice of daily business acumen exposure so that you know how to run and operate a business when you're in that seat. And like I said, it's about understanding the product and service, understanding your customers, knowing how to keep them, knowing how to manage your team. Like key things like that is super important. And those video games kind of get close enough to it. Back to being serious. And I don't want you to think at all that you can just play a video game and then go out and buy a cash flowing business. There is a diligence process, and there are a bunch of different pieces of that diligence process. I already mentioned financial diligence. Another one, which is kind of related to this fourth point, is operational diligence of understanding what is the business's operations and is it running smoothly and will it run smoothly once you are the new owner. And now I know it is very complex and it is a very serious, hardcore thing to do. And if you want to have an effective and smooth diligence process, you want to know what questions to ask and what data to ask for. That is half the battle when it comes to successfully doing diligence. Ask the right questions, ask for the right things, and know how to interpret and understand those answers. And as a private equity pro, it's not easy. I'm still learning and evolving my diligence checklist. And to help you guys out, what I did for my subscribers is I put together a free ebook that's like 10 or 15 pages, but it literally takes everything in my brain and I put it into this PDF that outlines how to buy a business from start to finish on the sourcing, on the diligence, the right data requests, the checklist, the questions to ask, helping you understand once you have the data and the information, how to benchmark it, how to value a company. literally everything start to finish when it comes to buying a business. So if you want that, check out that link down below and download the free ebook of how to buy a business. But let's take it back to AJ. So AJ has never owned, operated, or worked in investing or bought a business before. So his current competency is very low. So sitting around like 10%. Like granted, he worked at a business before, so he kind of understands some operations, but not at a managerial level. So we'll put him at 10% today. And I think the two things that will make him ready is one, reading the public filings and reports from publicly traded larger competitors. That will give him the industry-specific business acumen, but then also understanding on the operational diligence side, diving into that ebook and understanding from my end all the key pieces of financial, operational, commercial diligence when buying a company. I think that will give him enough of the skill set to be like 80%. And then if he adds on like water park simulator and does it every day for like 2 hours, that'll add another 5 to 10%. So I think we can get him to like 90% competency when it comes to business acumen and buying a business. So skill sets 1 through 4 were very essential when it comes to thinking about acquiring that business. But what about when you already own one or trying to run a business? I think this 5th one is very important, and this is leadership. Once you own a business, you have to manage people. You have to lead, and you have to deal with people's potential, emotions, conflict, and oh yeah, not just with people, aka your employees, but also with suppliers, with customers, other stakeholders. People are everywhere looking to you for strategic guidance, answers, leadership, all kinds of things. So you have to know how to lead. And I think the most effective playbook is to simply study successful CEOs that have ran great organizations in the past. Because what's cool is there's so many publicly available resources and books that just kind of document their entire leadership style. Take that, understand that, and apply that to your particular business. Now, the tangible upgrade. So my favorite CEO in the entire world is a guy called Frank Slootman, who is the CEO of Snowflake. And he is just like an absolute legend when it comes to unlocking employees' potential. And that's what's super key for me. I want to make sure that I buy a business and have a team and level up their potential so that the company performs better once I own the business. And luckily for you, Uncle Frank Slootman wrote a book called Amp It Up. And the book costs like $13. It's super cheap. But this book, Amp It Up, does so much like deep dives and case studies around leadership strategies, how to manage people, how to deal with conflicts, how to manage emotions of customers, how to unlock employees' potential, all kinds of things. Like I task myself with reading this book, Amp It Up, every single year so that I'm just constantly reminded around Frank's leadership style. So on to AJ. He's never led a business before, so we're gonna put him at 10% competency. But I think that once he reads Amp It Up or other books like $1 Trillion Coach or other leadership-oriented things, watch TED Talks, listens to podcasts, I think we can get him to around 60%. Now, it's not the highest because that remaining gap, you just have to have reps with dealing with people, having tenure, because arguably when you're older, you're just respected more as being a leader. They think you're more seasoned. But then also it just allows for him to just have more reps to understand what it takes to deal with different kinds of people, situations, and conflicts. So that remaining gap can be filled with just more experience. Now, I want to bring you back to skill set number 2, which was connecting with people, because this is very important because you want to be able to convince a business owner to sell you the company. And like I said, they only work with people that they like and trust. But how do you find that business owner in the first place? AKA, how do you source and find businesses for sale? And I literally get this comment every single video. How do you source? How do you find businesses? Well, lucky for you, in this next video, I outline my entire sourcing process. And there's 3 key areas of how I go and hunt and source for businesses every single day. So if you're looking to become an expert at sourcing businesses, check out that next video. And as always, I appreciate your guys' time and support. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.